Hey, everyone. Freak-a-leaks out there. How are you? Tonight, we are welcoming you to BDSM Part 1. Ever wanted to try BDSM but didn't know how or where to start? We got you. In this episode, we're going to explore the world of bondage, dominance, discipline, submission, sadomasochism, and masochism. There is so much to unpack with this topic, we're breaking it up into multiple episodes. But first, let's learn the basics tonight. So for all you newbies, BDSM basics is topic 1. What BDSM? We'll break down the different elements of BDSM, their meanings, and how to classify them. We'll also discuss the benefits along with the do's and don'ts of participating in a BDSM relationship. Topic 2, which is going to be one of my favorites. You want me to do what with that? We're going to go down the list of must-have toys and tools to include into your BDSM starter kit and how to safely use them for some seriously sensual fun. Sorry, my toys are falling on the floor. With us tonight, one of our co-hosts is actually a dominatrix. And so she's going to school us in some of the stuff that we've probably never heard of or know about. So,
hey, Maya. So excited. Yes, BDSM, one of my favorite topics. One of my favorite things to talk about with sex. So yes, as mentioned, I am not only a co-host of this lovely, wonderful podcast for Freaky Girls, but the freaky that I bring is the kink. And I also am a professional dominatrix. So, and my dom name is actually Mistress Epiphini.
So,
yes.
I like it. I like that.
Yes, Mistress Epiphini. And say you want to get captured by Epiphany. So BDSM, lot to break down, but we're going to keep it simple. Just because there's so many things involved in BDSM. And I love that Fran broke it down as far as what the B, the D, the S, and the M are. But even breaking it down, even more just to kind of explain what each of those are. So the B and BDSM is bondage. So bondage is just what it sounds like. It's restraining oneself or your partner during play. And so you can restrain with handcuffs. Now, while the metal handcuffs may look sexy, they're not very comfortable. They're not very comfortable. So I would suggest, especially for beginners, to, stay away from those. But we'll go over different things to play with in a little while. What's that?
You said get them cozy cuffs.
Right.
The pink Caroline ones?
Right. No, the leather ones, yes. So the bondage, but you can restrain with cuffs, you can restrain with rope. There's a rope art, actually called shibari, which is like basically the art of roping and, rope play. So, what else can we restrain with? Just a whole bunch of different things. There's even just, honorary bondage where your partner can just tell you don't move out of that position and you have to, discipline yourself to not move out of that position. So which moves into the D.
That's why I would never make a good submissive, because this is why I would never make a good submissive. It's just as sure as someone told me to sit, I'm going to stand up and go, fuck you.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a horrible submissive. I'm a Sam.
Well, that's what we call a brat.
Or Sam.
That's what we call a brat in that world.
Yeah, I would be a brat. So anyways, I'm sorry, Maya. You got me all excited. Go ahead.
You're fine. No, so discipline is just that. It's basically taking not necessarily orders, but well, I guess orders and demands from the disciplinarian in when you're role playing. So or the dom, which is the other D, the dominant, which I am a dominant. That's why I'm a professional dominatrix. That's basically what that is. I give orders. I expect you to honor those orders, and when you don't, you get punished. So
Okay, so let's kind of break down some things. So first and foremost, for somebody who like me, and I swear, like the more shows we do, I feel like I am like the prude of the group. Right? I know I'm not a prude in real life, but like y'all have so much more experience in kink than I do, I guess. Right. So like I learned a lot from you guys. So
I look at it this way. So I'm 20
sorry.
years older than y'all. So I have a third of the life. Does that make sense? I'm trying to find some excuses why I know too much about this bullshit.
No, it's because you're great at what you do. And that's perfectly fine. Right. But for somebody who like me, so BDSM isn't really like my thing, right? Yeah. But I definitely want to learn more about it so that I can understand the lifestyle. So for somebody who isn't really familiar, or it doesn't really make sense to them, can you make it make sense why bondage or, being told what to do or, all of that stuff is sexy? Like what about that is sexy for people? What makes it be their thing? What makes them tick with that? What do you think that is?
I think a lot of people, and I know I can say from my standpoint, what attracts me to it is the discipline from it, is the art of it. It's not just, all willy-nilly, just doing, whatever. Most people who identify as submissives in the BDSM world are dominant in their vanilla world. Most of those people are CEOs, presidents of their company, executives. Okay. They're always telling people what to do in their regular lives, that in their private lives. And I also need to make the distinction that BDSM doesn't always involve sex. It's, both a lifestyle and a kink.
Okay.
So sometimes, just being able to go home and not having to make decisions, is a turn on for some people.
Okay.
Or just the opposite. Somebody who's, kind of in a lower level, position, or, are always being told what to do, they get that confidence from being able to reverse that role, and being able to say, hey, you do this. And if you don't do this, there'll be consequences, so that can be a turn on to a lot of people.
Stress reliever too.
Yeah, what's that?
And a stress reliever too.
Exactly. It actually can be very therapeutic. That's actually like kind of, again, what's attracted me to it, because it can be very therapeutic in ways. The more and more I learn about it, because I'm still learning too. The more and more I learn about it, it becomes more attractive to me, just because you can release so much. Like an orgasm is one thing, but I guess BDSM, when it does come to the sexual part of it, building up to that orgasm is so much more than just the orgasm. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense to me. Yeah. And the same way that, most people do what would be considered regular or typical foreplay. Right. Not rushing to that point, of orgasm, but just kind of taking your time and building up that energy and building up that energy and building up that energy, so that when you do release, it's this amazing rush of, a release of energy and pleasure.
Right.
So I could see that.
Yeah. Like a lot of people don't think that they're like, I think BDSM, it gives a category for it. But a lot of times people are participating in BDSM type activities without knowing that they're doing it. Mm-hmm. Like when you're sending, text or just like, take your panties off, that's a demand. That's somebody topping you. Mm-hmm. That's, BDSM. That's, that's a demand. Somebody's telling you to do it. And, you think that's sexy as hell. Like, hell yeah, I'm going to take my panties off.
Okay, daddy.
Right? Okay.
Like, what else you want me to do, daddy?
Right.
Like that dominance in that, being able to let go and the submissive part of it can be sexy and can be, a turn on to a lot of people.
Okay. Right. So I met a lot of nurses that are submissives.
Yeah. Because they're always having to bark orders at work the whole day.
Yeah.
So they want to let go and let loose, in their private lives. So, and then the same thing with, people who are barked orders at, all the time. They want to, want some of that power. So, just sending a text to your partner saying, when I get home, I want you naked on the bed, ready for me.
Okay.
Most people wouldn't think that's, that's just, I'm just being a little, sexy, a little kinky.
Right.
That's BDSM.
Well, we were just talking about it, like, I know many women whose partners have pinched their nipples, or even men, and they get pleasure out of it, but they don't realize at the time that that's part of BDSM. That's nipple play.
Right. Like I said, there's so many avenues of BDSM, and a lot of it, like I said, is just, it's the discipline in it. And just, it's the communication. The big, big thing about BDSM is communication. And that's why I think it differs from, I guess the term is called vanilla. Vanilla is just, your regular old schmegula degula,
Schmegula.
So, but I think that's where it differs, is that you have to have communication when it comes to BDSM. Because if you're participating in, certain activities, like, we go into the S&M of BDSM, the sadomasochism, masochism. The sadomasochism is someone who enjoys inflicting pain. They get pleasure from inflicting pain on someone. And the masochist is someone who enjoys receiving that pain. Yeah. So, and that's, and when we say pain, people are like, I don't want any pain, but it's more of a thrill than it is about the pain.
Right.
So it's the same as you going skydiving, or, there's a risk to it, but you're going to do it because it's a thrill, You don't just, I'm sure anybody watching this podcast has gotten their ass spanked during sex.
Mm-hmm. So maybe I am more into, BDSM than I thought.
Yeah.
I love spanking. Like, not crazy. Don't be, slapping the shit out of me, like literally. Right. Okay. But, just like a nice spanking while we're having sex and hair pulling and even choking. Like, I'm down for all of those,
right.
What I mean? And not from everybody. I will say that, because I believe that requires, which to me, BDSM, it requires a lot of trust.
Definitely.
A lot of trust to be able to stay in that moment and create that atmosphere, and everybody in the room be comfortable, or everybody who's participating be comfortable with that, and know that this person is not going to hurt you for real, or take advantage of, the situation. So the
big thing is it's got to be consensual. You have to know your limits. Your partner has to know your limits. That's where we get the term safe word from. You have to have a safe word.
Have to, even if they're just colors, you have to have them.
Right.
And, like you were talking about how when you mentioned the pain part to some people, they're like, oh, no. But what they don't realize is you have to take baby steps. No, nobody's going to just take you and tie you up to a St. Andrew's cross and start whipping the shit out of you.
Right.
If they do, then you need to run.
Yeah, that's called abuse.
That was some baby steps. And then you work your, I mean, I have seen submissives go from, oh, hell no, you're not doing that to me, to, oh, please, harder, give me more, in just a matter of 6 months.
Yeah.
It's all about the mind play. How patient are you? Being dominant doesn't mean that you just go in there with a big roar and do whatever the hell I say. You have to be a mentor and a teacher and teach them how to start learning to ride those pleasure pains.
Yeah. As a dominatrix, your submissive has just as much power as you.
Oh, even if not more so.
Yeah. Because you're in charge of giving them pleasure. You know, like that's as the dominant, like you're in charge of them. So, and if their pleasure is being told what to do, or whatever, like you're in charge of that. So they have just as much power, over you as you do over them.
Yeah, because if they say
in charge of what gets them going.
Okay, so I have a question. Do y'all remember seeing, there was a video, I think somebody had posted it in the group, of this girl, and she was recording herself in like pretty chick, had on this like black like lingerie, blonde hair, everything like all dolled up. She looked like a blonde Betty Boop doll, pretty much, with long hair. And she was like, so this is how, you live the lifestyle of a submissive. And she actually was calling her dude, like had to call her dude at a certain time. You remember which one I'm talking about?
I do.
So for people who are not really familiar like with this lifestyle, can you kind of give them a different perspective on like living the life of a submissive, and like why you would give somebody that much power, or power for lack of a better word, or control over like what you do? I mean, because like she called the dude and he was just like, you was supposed to call me at such and such time, not this time. You need to ask for me. Do I have permission to lay down? Do I have permission to go to bed? Do I have permission to brush my teeth? That type of stuff. So can you kind of give, the audience a explanation as to how that turns people on, and like, just kind of give them some more clarity about that lifestyle and why people choose to live that lifestyle? Like, what is the power in giving someone else power over what you do?
It's almost like being in the military. It's everything's planned. You're told what to do. You know when to do it. You don't have to be responsible or accountable for anything, because somebody's already responsible and accountable for the things that you're doing by telling you what to do. And see, I could never have a submissive like that. I'm more into mind games and pain. I'm a sensual, sadistic dame, since I'm female.
Right.
I don't believe in having slaves. I never would have that kind of mine. And no one is allowed to call me mistress unless they either ask permission in writing or they're my submissive.
Yeah. So how do they address you then?
Ma'am.
Okay.
Or Miss Francine. Now this hasn't happened like recently. I've been in this game for quite a long time. Yeah. But I chose to get married, and I'm not he's not in the lifestyle.
Okay.
But he's more of a top, and then I'm more of a bottom. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't really consider myself a dominant. I'm a sadistic. I'm a sensual sadistic, not really a dominant, because I don't want to I don't want to run my own life. I don't want to have to run somebody else's fucking life.
Right.
So, just like Maya said, there's different levels. Like someone who wants to live like the young lady that was in the video. Maya, you probably have a lot better perspective on this.
Yeah, what we don't know is like most of the time in those type of dynamics, they've had that discussion. They more than likely have a contract, where they've discussed all of what he's in charge of in her life. It might just be, you call me in the morning, you call me at night to go to bed, and that's it. That might be the only thing that he's in charge of as far as what she's given over to him.
Okay.
Right.
So, we don't necessarily know the full dynamic of their relationship, of, him being her dom. But so I know sometimes we see these like funny memes or whatever where basically people say like being a grown up is overrated. Like, you know, I don't recommend 0 stars.
Right.
So a lot of people, and you know, she could be, now I don't know the full extent of that, but a lot of people revert, you know, back to that, or they want to be a child. They want to be told what to do, you know, like and those people are considered littles. That's what the terminology in the BDSM world. So they consider themselves to be little. They revert back to that childhood state where they need permission to do things, you know, and that's what gets them, you know, that's what, you know, what they enjoy. They want to be told, okay, it's bedtime. You need to go to bed now.
Right.
You know, because it helps them have that security.
Okay.
You know, some people don't have that security in their everyday lives. So for someone to be able to, you know, have that in that discipline, like I think I was reading something and it was like, we all know we're supposed to go to the gym. We're supposed to eat, you know, certain things or whatever and discipline ourselves. But sometimes we can't discipline ourselves. We don't eat, you know, that pint of ice cream when we shouldn't, you know, but we have somebody, but, you know, you do better on your diet when you have a personal trainer. You know, you do better with exercising when you have that somebody who you're accountable to.
Yes.
So that's the same dynamic. It's just, you know what I mean? So it's the same dynamic. Somebody's giving over just like you would give over that power to a personal trainer of, look, I'm giving you this power to get me in shape. It's the same thing. It's the same dynamic, just, you know, in the kind of a kink world.
Wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, that's a very good way to explain it. Most people don't look at it that way.
Right.
You know, most people see videos like that and they're like, oh my God, okay, he must be her pimp. Like, or they think something's wrong with her or she has self-esteem issues or something. When in all actuality,
fantasizes about little girls. I hear that one all the time.
Could be, you know, just this is just what I like. Period. You know, and it works for me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That was a very good explanation. I hope, you know, I hope if you're listening, you know, or you're watching that, you know, that definitely helped because I feel like that clarified a lot for me.
Right?
For sure. Stuff that I never thought about.
Impressive. But, you know, we were talking about handcuffs and stuff, and I have a couple things here that I used to use.
Oh, shoot. We bringing up the doors already. I like it.
Oh, my goodness. Let me see. Okay, so these are just like some simple, cheap things. This is just like a vinyl tape. It's not sticky.
Yeah, that's good.
But when you wrap it on top of itself, it holds.
It sticks to itself.
Right. Okay. Next time you're in your doctor's office or an emergency room.
Oh, geez. Where's this going?
All of this stuff, you know, like it's that bandage that sticks to itself.
Right.
Yeah. This is black. I mean, you probably won't find it in color in the emergency room, but you know, I have black.
Yeah.
And then just some good old fashioned rope.
Right.
You know, I also have these little, I don't know where they went to. My dogs probably took them.
Hey, puppy.
Yeah. I also have these they're like elastic bands that have Velcro and you put it through like the buckle and bring it back. The bands stretch, but they are not stretching so the handles slip out. They're stretching so it doesn't cut off circulation.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I have in reference to the bondage stuff. I have a lot more here if you want to see it. So you just let me know.
Right. So I actually have some rope. This is yes. If you can't tell, my favorite color is purple.
That's gorgeous.
Right. So yeah. So this is good for, you know, nice bondage, light bondage. You don't have to, you know. Some people get real fancy with it. I do want to learn. That's one thing I haven't learned yet, and you know how to do like that type of restraint where it makes it look real pretty. But you know, you can do your feet, your hands, you know, put your hands behind your back, kind of like hog tie you, but of course in a safe, consensual way.
Right.
So yeah, that's the bondage stuff I have.
I like that.
But yeah, so I guess that's kind of a breakdown of the BDSM. And as I said, a lot of people participate in BDSM type activities without knowing they actually do. Like we said, like the spanking, that's considered impact play. That's a form of BDSM.
Now, did you mean with a hand fee?
Yes.
You've never tried any spanking with any toys?
We have one. Oh shoot. It's a little it's probably like maybe this long, and it has like the little leather tassels on the end.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, do light, spanking with that.
Nothing like this?
Nah, bruh, nothing like that. Nah, nothing like that.
Anybody who's ever had their ass beat with a paddle with holes in it knows what the hell this feels like.
Nah, I never made it to a sorority, so I don't know what that feels like.
But I was
my dad used to spank us, so I know. Right. It's a wonder I'm not into it.
But I will say, like before, like I said, you've probably done things that are considered BDSM without even knowing that they are. Ass smacking, nipple twisting, choking, all of that stuff is in the BDSM, world. But if I would suggest to anybody who wants to get more, in depth into the BDSM world, the first thing you got to do is have a conversation, a sober conversation.
Yes. No drinking during play.
No, a sober conversation, because you honestly might be surprised. And I would say just asking what your partner's fantasies are. Like you would be surprised at how many men would say, "I want you to tell me what to do." That you would think would be the manliest of men, and they're the king of the castle, but they want to be told what to do. Mm-hmm. They want you to take control. So first thing I would say, then that way you could decide who would be the dominant, who would be the submissive, or it's also called the top and the bottom. So and that's those can interchange, but sometimes they can't, because you can top from the bottom, if that makes sense. Like you can, like, basically as a dom, I can instruct my submissive to spank me. I'm still the dominant, but I'm dominant, from the bottom.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would definitely suggest having a conversation first. Find out, your hard limits, soft limits. Hard limits is you ain't doing that shit to me. Mm-hmm. No way, no how. Soft limits are, I've never done it, but I'm willing to try. Mm-hmm. So, and then definitely, of course, having a safe word. We know the infamous pineapples, right? Kevin Hart. But I would say if you're trying something new, especially like some type of impact or, restraints or something like that, a lot of people in the BDSM world use the street light, where it's like red light, yellow, green. Mm. So red would be, stop, or, pause at whatever you're doing. Yellow would be like, okay, slow down a little, and then green means keep going. I'm liking it.
Okay.
So you never want to use the words no or stop, because, you in the throes of things and you're like, no, but you don't want him to stop. People get confused that.
Yeah. One of my favorite toys that I used to use a 3-foot single tail whip. Mm. And I used to be able to put out candle flames with it.
Love it. That's
so when I'm standing there and I'm trying not to slice your skin open by trying to balance my whip and think of the distance and the power behind it, I don't want to hear you going, no, yes, no. I don't hear those words. If you've got a concern, you better shout out green, red, or yellow. Because even subs go into what they call subspace, but doms go into a dom space too. And let me tell you, with what I do, what I used to do, I would get so deep into it that I would just like, you know, at the end of a session, I had to go off in the corner somewhere and just, nobody could approach me. You have to leave me alone. Let me come down. I mean, it's almost like coming down from drugs. It really
is. It's like when you're in that space, it's almost like a runner's high.
Yeah.
Like, so when you come down from that, like aftercare, when you come down from a scene, aftercare is so, so important. And aftercare can be anything from getting them a drink of water, you know, cuddling, you know, kissing, and then even just talking about what just happened. That could be aftercare. But you have to like come down because it's something new and different and, you know, kinky. So,
well, and depending on what you're doing can be very dangerous too.
Right.
Yeah, because you just said you was about to slice somebody's shit open. Like I'm still, I'm still stuck there. Like
I wasn't concentrating on the power coming from my wrist, the distance, how close or how far. I mean, how much of the whip is going to touch their skin. If I got too close, I could have sliced their skin open.
Yeah.
Because I used to have a lot of force. That's why I was so good with my whip.
Yeah, some things in the BDSM, like wax play, you know, some of that can be very, you know, dangerous if it's not done. You know, even choking. You can choke somebody to death. You know, like you know, in vanilla sex, people choke every once in a while, but it's not, but like, yeah. Choking can be very dangerous. So you got to know the proper way to do it.
Yeah. But any kind of breath play.
Right. Even spanking, using paddles, using whips. If you use it in the wrong area on the body, you could cause, like, you know, kidney failure, and you can cause
break somebody's hip.
Right? On my side.
But like I said, it's the same risk. Like people, you know, might like, oh, I don't want to do all that. But it's just, to me, it's the same risk as you would take driving every day. You just have to be knowledgeable about it in order for it to be pleasurable. So it's the same risk but you know, you learned how to drive in order to, you know, now you drive every day. You know how to do it safely, and people that enjoy driving, you know, enjoy it. Same as the thrill seekers who want to go skydiving. You know the risk. You know the dangers of it, but the thrill you get from it, you want to keep doing it.
Mm-mm. No, I'm not jumping out of a perfectly good airplane.
Nope, me neither. But you know, hey, to each his own, honey.
Right? Hey, if you
but I mean, like just those like adrenaline junkies, like, and you know, some people who enjoy running like that. You know,
yeah.
I tell people, if you see me running, you better start running too, because something's chasing. But some people enjoy running. You know, and again, the thrill you get from it, that high you get from it, you can get that from, you know, impact play, wax play,
fire play,
cupping. You know, there's a whole bunch of different things
Maya.
you can do.
This isn't my professional set, but this is what I started out with, cupping.
Oh yeah,
dollar store. You got the cap of a bottle, plastic bottle with aluminum foil, and what you would do is you put this on the body, you put rubbing alcohol in it, you light it on fire, and then you put this on top of it. And what it does is it draws the skin up. I've had, I think, a B cup, almost a C cup in one of these before.
That's nice.
Wow. Okay.
Fire play is amazing. Flash cotton.
But I would say for beginners, you know, if you're
don't do that.
Impact play, you might not go as far as cupping. No, but just like something as easy as sensory deprivation, sensory play. Like you can, you know, blindfold. You can use earplugs so you don't hear them. You know, you can use nose plugs to cover up your smell.
Do you use hoods, Maya?
You said what?
Do you use hoods?
Yeah, you can use a hood.
Have you used a hood? Because I've never really used hoods.
I haven't. Okay. Yeah, I don't feel comfortable enough yet, but I do want to eventually. But yeah, but of course people, do breath, play where you take away somebody's, ability to breathe. And that, I know people have heard of, I can't even say the word. Asphyxiation. I can't say the word. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Asphyxiation.
People get thrill from not being able to breathe. Again, the same as choking. That constraint is a turn on to some people.
See, okay. So for me, usually if he's choking, it's not here. It's grabbing back here.
Grabbing the back.
Yeah.
Okay. Or he's maybe it is here. I'm sorry. Maybe he's coming around to grab this way.
Right.
But I can still breathe.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know
but that constraint though. So that's different.
Just
that's
slightly.
That's different from probably breath play because you're like breath plays. You can't breathe like you.
Nah, bro.
Like underwater type.
I like to breathe.
Yeah. but people get highs and rushes from that. And,
oh wow!
You can turn people on.
You like on the verge of blacking out, and then they let you. Woo, child.
I've never done that before.
Some stuff is hardcore, but there's a lot of BDSM that's very, soft. Soft core. Like it's not, but it gives you it gives people the same type of pleasure. Mm-hmm. Like you don't have to go hardcore like that to enjoy, BDSM play.
Exactly. I think that's important to point out too, because a lot of times when we see BDSM or we hear about BDSM, it's always really extreme,
right?
Like roping up the boobs and they looking crazy and people's skin just red from head to toe, just like what the hell was you in there doing, or stepping on men's testicles and
I had this is a makeup brush. This is sensory play. You're just going across the skin. That brings the blood rush to the top of the skin and makes you feel good.
So if your partner,
as simple as this is BDSM. Like
if your partner walks into the bathroom one night and says, "Hey, babe, where's your makeup kit at?" You know what's coming.
That's funny. So if you don't have a feather, you can make that brush,
right?
But role playing is also a part of BDSM. So people, like I said, people have done this type of stuff, but not knowing it's under that umbrella.
Right.
So like you could, you and your partner could, decide to meet at a bar and act like you don't know each other. You could be the stranger at the bar or the naughty professor and the teacher, and the student, or, there's different role plays, but people sometimes, it goes a little further where they actually get the costumes, to play like cosplay. That falls under the BDSM umbrella.
Furries. Everybody makes fun of furries, but that falls under BDSM. And vandalism.
Yeah.
We could go on. Yeah, it spiders out so far.
It does. Like I said, you don't have to go out that far.
Right.
But yeah, it's
do what makes you happy.
Right. But that's why communication is so important. Like you want to know what your limits are and what your partner's limits are and what you're willing to try. You don't know. You might enjoy, breath play, but, you don't know it until you try it. But definitely with the more risky things, I would definitely suggest studying up on it first, learning the proper way from, and you would be amazed, there are different classes all over the city and the state, people teaching different things, and a way to find out about those classes. I mean, they don't pay us, but FetLife is FetLife is a website. It's kind of like a Facebook for the BDSM world, the kink world, where you can go on and find different events going on around the city and the state, to learn more about, different types of like rope play and, impact play and things like that.
So fet is for short for fetish?
Fetish,
Okay.
Yeah, so FET as in Tom, life. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask this then, because I know we kind of, this episode is a little different because, you know, normally we like go from one topic to the next, but because there's so much to cover, you know, we just kind of let this one roll.
Right.
But so if you are a person who is watching this and you want to get into BDSM, what would be some of the like starter kit tools? You know, what are some of the go-tos that you like really would suggest people start off with, or how would you ease them into this lifestyle, or what suggestions would you all have?
Well, I'm just going to say one. Don't try to sub or dom on a budget. Don't be going to Lion's Den and getting those cheap little $7.99 whips. Please do not do that. We will teach you how to make your own if we have to. Okay.
Right. Yeah, like I've been saying it all episode. Communication is the first thing you need to do. Like, that's the first thing before anything else. You know, decide what it is you want to try first. Like, don't just go in all willy-nilly. Like, you want to decide what it is, because while you might be in the spanking, your partner might be like, don't you dare. You know? So, you want to have that communication first. And like I said before, like, just trying things as far as like sensory play, you know, that's in the role playing. All of that's something you can ease your way into. That's more familiar than it is unfamiliar.
Yes.
But if you want to try to use some tools and things, I would say, you know, a paddle. People are a lot familiar with paddles. There are different types of paddle. You saw Fran's paddle. I have a little different type of paddle. So it gives basically the different types of paddles gives different impact when, you know, hit on the skin. So Fran's is more of like a slap. This paddle is more like a thud.
And this one's you could hit somebody with all your force and really not
do a lot. This one you hit just a little bit and you're gonna feel it.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna feel it. Because if you can't see, I'll put it. These are marbles.
I was gonna ask what was inside of there. They're very pretty and colorful.
Not for a lightweight.
They're marbles. But then you also have, where did I put it? Something a little smaller, again with impact play. This is called a scorpion. It's more like a cane. It's like a miniature cane. So like if you're into like more of a stingy type of impact, this is a good one to have. And it's so little.
It's so cute.
But it packs a punch.
Ooh, I might have to get me one of those.
So a lot of people, you can use this like on your nipples, you know, sensitive areas. Nipples, I would never suggest anywhere around the stomach. You want to stay away from those areas just because of your organs. You want to stay away from those areas. I would say the top 3 places to practice impact would be the butt, the top of the back, like your shoulders.
Yeah.
And, you know, on your breast. Because those can take the heaviest hits without injury.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then some people like, you know, the bottoms of your feet too.
True.
Some people like that impact too. And then we also I have a riding crop here. This is a riding crop, this little thing here, but it also, you can use the stem part as some impact. And then this is a sensory thing, but massaging gloves.
Oh my gosh. They still make those.
Yeah. Some massaging gloves, but it has like the little nubbies and stuff. So that's
nice.
Sensory.
With those, you want to use those with some sort of lubricant or some sort of something that provides
massage oil,
the skin, right? Massage oil or oils, period. Yes. Or even water, like in or out of the shower or bath. Right.
Yeah, this actually makes a great loofah. So,
yeah.
And then I have the big boy.
Yeah, I want 0 parts, but it looked cute.
But you know what? The bigger.
I like that.
So this is a flogger, for those of you that don't know what this is. This is a flogger. So again, would be under the impact play umbrella. But the bigger the tendrils are, the less sting.
Oh.
Now see,
the smaller the whip is, the more sting you'll have.
Oh my God.
This will make you feel like 1,000 bees is attacking your ass.
Oh, Lord.
So I would suggest starting with the bigger one.
Right?
Okay. Yeah, we all like big, right?
Yeah. Go big or go home. No, that's good to know, though. Because most people will probably look at it and think the opposite, because that thing looks really intimidating.
It's very intimidating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would if you want to try a flogger, I would go bigger first.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, there's classes that teach, how to use that. You go on YouTube. There's so many videos,
right,
of how to use these tools properly.
Yeah, and the floggers don't have to be for pain. Like, they can be used in a sensual way. Slide them up and down your body.
Right.
If he takes them and puts them around your neck, not to choke you, but just to kind of say, hey,
restrain.
I got you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They can be so sensual that everybody, people want to relate them to pain because of movies and the history and stuff like that with them. But, okay.
Yeah. I was like it when you do both. Like, you can rub it up against, the bottom of the bottom, and then, like that little sting of pain. Like, you kind of mix it up, so you don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
This is my favorite.
I can tell. But, that's good, because I think this episode was definitely important, because most people's first real introduction to BDSM is through the movies 50 Shades of Grey, through that series. Yeah. I think that's why it was so popular. I mean, when I saw it, I was just like, interesting. But it didn't make me want to go out and have a whole dungeon room and, all of that stuff. I was just like, yeah, I'm going to stick to my little feathers and little ticklers and stuff, because that kind of stuff, I like. Especially
when it brought up the conversation. This
is true.
Brought up the conversation. Something you probably never considered before.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think also because I'm an esthetician, so touch, for many years was, it was about intimate touch. Like, even if it's not necessarily, touching private parts, this part of your body is a personal space. Right. And so it was my job to go in and create relaxation, release tension, and give pleasure, doing facials and stuff like that. Because people, just like how you get orgasms and stuff, people, that's what they experience during a facial, right? So it definitely made me think about it from a perspective of what kind of touch to use, because we are taught different, ways of touching people. We're not just going in and just, doing this, there's tapotment, there's I forget the name of it. Oh, God bless me. I cannot remember the name of it. It slipped right out of my head. But where they compare it to you hitting a drum, or drumming with your fingers. There's
tapping.
Different. Huh?
Like tapping.
It's another word for it. I can't, it completely left me just now. But there's I believe there's 5 different ways of touch that we had to learn, how to do on people so that we could properly touch you in, just the pressure and all of that stuff. So from that perspective, I know it doesn't seem like it connects, but from that perspective, when I was watching the movie, I was just like, wow, okay. But yeah, most people, I know me personally, anytime I've been exposed to, BDSM, it's been all about, people just wham, just, and I'm just like, ooh.
Take my glass.
Yeah, I don't know. But now speaking of which, before we wrap this up, because we're already at time. That's crazy.
Oh, wow.
Do either one of you offer classes? Are you planning to offer classes? Can we, get people to maybe join an email list or whatever, to put them on to some things you might be doing in the future?
Maya and I talked once about doing something together, but we haven't solidified it. But she's like, yeah, Maya, this is you, baby.
Well, I'm not necessarily offering classes, but I am open to taking on submissives. So I have a submissive application, so we can put that in the comment or in the description.
Okay.
So if someone's interested in being a submissive or exploring that, I do individuals and couples. So if you want to explore that world with your partner or individually, then yeah.
Okay. So you guys can email us, info@forfreakygirlspodcast.com. Make sure you put in the subject line, that you want to be down with Maya. You want to be down. You a sub. You need a dom. What is it called when it's a girl? A dame?
It's a dom. I mean, it's dom or dame. Like it's just spelled different. Male dom is DOM. Female dom is DOMME.
Okay. Well, if you're trying to get that work,
I will interview pain puppies, male or female. If you're an experienced pain puppy, contact me.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means, but if you're an experienced pain puppy,
no.
That info is.
Yeah, she's all about the pain. I'm more of the discipline.
So whichever one of those you're interested in, type in the subject line, Francine or Maya. Don't ask me, I can't help you, but I'll put you in the right direction. Oh, man. Okay, so this was super dope. Because I definitely learned some new things for sure. I hope you all learned some new things. Feel free, I can't even talk, to let us know how you feel about the conversation in the comments. Email us with questions, hit us on IG. Yeah, Maya gonna get you that work. Francine gonna whoop your ass. But anyway, ladies, do we have anything else to add before we wrap up?
I don't have anything except for, if this was part one.
Part two.
You cannot wait to put y'all on part two.
I'm just gonna say it's a little show and tell.
Show and tell for part two, and that's all we're gonna say. So if you are interested in finding out more, definitely hit us up on one of these ways. Email us, hit us up on the social media. Yeah, this was a good one.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and head out, and we appreciate your time as always. Thank you. Yeah.
Keep me freaky leaks. Get
freaky. Yes. Until next time. Bye.